just a while, Bishop, when we're still there, before we move on something else, you say that, and it's important that I think many people at home understand that just because you're saved or you believe you're a child of God and this and this, you have a relationship, it doesn't immunize you, it doesn't keep you away from bad things happening. Some people imagine that now God has forsaken them when things start going wrong.
And that's the thing. When I look at Jeremy, I look at him as a blessing, because let me tell you, challenges are what makes even life worth living. If everything was there and everything was okay, then why would we need to wake up in the morning and go out there and hustle? And that's why even in Africa we need to not look at our challenges as a as something to pull us back, but it's our challenges are what are going to make us rise up, come up with new technology, come up with new innovations, come up with new ways of thinking. So I want to encourage somebody who's going through challenges not to see them as a stumbling stone, but to see them as a stepping stone into greatness, and to see that they can be able to turn around what it is that they're going through for their good. So just because I'm saved doesn't immunize me from challenges, but how will I ever know that God can be able to move in my life unless I was in a problem?
Wow. And your daughters are gorgeous.
Yes.
They are beautiful and they are of age where boys start saying, So as a bishop, here you are a man of God, but these are young girls. They have their own lives. You've been called, someone would argue they've not been called. At least you don't share the same, purpose and journey. How are you dealing with that? How are you handling that to ensure you're real and you're daddy, but you're also man of God? And
You know what I do? I've told my kids they don't have to follow the path I followed. I've told them if they're not called into the ministry, they don't have to serve God. But I know in my heart that they are called into the ministry. But how God will do it, He is the one who will do it. Because it's not me who calls. It is God who calls. And in His own way, He's going to bring it to pass and make sure that they're where they need to be in terms of doing what they need to do. But I have allowed them to do their career. Vanessa is very excited in her law career. Stephanie is very excited, looking forward to finishing and graduating in about 4 or 5 years with architecture and so forth. I want them to become independent and people by themselves. And by the way, Sophia, when we left church and got home, home was not church. We would play with them, would laugh with them.
Do you talk boys? Do they?
In fact,
you ask them?
In fact, Vanessa is dating. And
nice.
She's hoping to get married. No, I haven't met him because he's out there in Australia, but my wife has. And she assures me he's an incredible guy. Nice.
We look forward to seeing the wedding pics and all.
We'll definitely make sure that you get them. It's at the end of the year, so I'll have hard time to spend time with him and speak to him and tell him, you need to take care of my daughter this and this way.
This and this way. That's amazing. You definitely have a very, very beautiful family.
Thank you so much. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. Yes.
So church, back to church. So there you are, 5 people, 40 people the first Sunday, 5 the next, and it's just family. How has that transitioned to what we have now? The other weekend you're celebrating 16 years. How have these 16 years panned out? How has that scenario from day one changed? And that journey, how has it been like?
It's been very, to be honest, it's been very challenging, but very fulfilling. It's been very satisfying because God has given us the young people. Our church is maybe 90% youth. Including me.
But do you say? All right.
It's 90, and I'm called to the young people. I love young people, and to see them change, to see them having hope, to see them coming out of drugs, to see them coming out of prostitution, to see them coming out of defeat, and really starting to have hope and embrace a bright future has been exciting. It's not been easy. It's not been an easy ride. Especially even this season, there's been a lot of attacks. There's been a lot of things that are being said out there that have really been shaking for us. We are so fulfilled. We are very fulfilled. We are very, very happy. Ministry is doing great, but it's not been easy. It's not been easy, but it's been fulfilling. There's nothing as wonderful as waking up every morning, knowing you're doing the right thing, and knowing that you're serving the living God, knowing that you're changing lives, knowing that you're giving somebody hope. That is the best thing. It's not about the titles. It's not about the things that you can be able to touch, because those things will come and go. But a life that has been changed, somebody that has received hope, somebody that has been healed, set free. That for me is what makes me every Sunday morning get excited. When I get on
You've mentioned some of those challenges, some of those attacks that have come through, and let's go through a few of what even some of the people asking this morning, our viewers. Let's begin with those that accuse and have looked at your ministry as one that focuses on prosperity. Those that say it's all about the pomp, the color, the clothes, the cars, all of that, and that the message is all about you living a better life, you having this money and this house. What do you say to those people?
I don't think they're listening. I think if you tune in to us every Sunday morning, you tune to us every Sunday morning and watch KTN, as on KTN, you'll have a totally different picture. That's not what we are all about. We are all about lifting Christ. We are all about preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ that brings salvation to every man who believes. And so that is just part of what it is that we preach, because I believe it's good to prosper.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with having a good house. There's nothing wrong with having a good car. I told you myself, I was brought up in the slums, and I know the pain of poverty. I know, I've been there. I'm not saying something that I've not experienced. I've experienced it. I've experienced sharing toilets with about another 20 families, and sharing bathroom. I know that, and I'm not saying it's evil. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that I would rather have something different.
Right.
And if that is in the package of salvation, for me to succeed and to prosper, then I don't have a problem with it. So it's not about the pomp. It's not about the color. That is just the manifestation of the blessing of God. If you serve God and if you walk right with God, there are things that will happen. It's just like if you go to shower, you will get wet. You didn't go to get wet. You went to get clean.
Clean.
Yeah.
Inadvertently.
But inadvertently you get wet. And that is the process of also walking with God and serving God and living for God. Inadvertently He will bless you. And when those blessings come, the Bible says that it maketh rich and addeth no sorrow with it. It's not those things that are important. That is just a byproduct of walking with God and living with God. That's a byproduct of it. But it's important because as long as you're on this earth, we will need to pay our bills. As long as you're on this earth, you'll need to get to work. You will need to dress. You need to live. So God has also made sure that those daily needs that are needed every day are also in the salvation package. So salvation is not just about getting saved to get to heaven. It's also how you live on the earth. So you cannot just be so spiritual, thinking about heavenly things, that you're not of any earthly good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You have Captain Nyakwa is asking, does Bishop Kiuna and Reverend have another job, or do they make their living off of church?
Well, no, we don't. Our job is ministry. That is what we do. We only we are employed by Jubilee Christian Church, if I may say that. And also we have a staff. We have a staff of about 50 people, and we have about 18 branches, which with pastors that are pastoring those churches. Not only in Kenya, but we have a church in London, we have a church in Johannesburg, we have churches in America. So we also have sent out missionaries. So it's a big operation that actually not only needs us to be on full time, but also to employ a staff of about 50 people.
Yeah. Then there was a lot of fury, social media, a lot of discussions, even on radio. I've had some, that Jubilee Christian Church is a church just for the rich. No poor people allowed into those doors. Is that the case?
I don't know where that story came from, and I don't even know.
Of course, comments that have been attributed to your wife.
Yes. I don't know who said those things, and I really, they really hurt my wife, because first of all, she was not even around. She was in the U.S. The whole of January she spent it in the U.S. There's some family issues that she needed to take care of, and so when those stories came out, we were really shocked and surprised. And they are not true. They are lies. Sophia, when people say we are not welcoming poor people, it's such a lie, because we've been there. I understand poverty because I have been poor, and I'm not saying that as a cliche. I'm saying that because I know it. I remember walking from Kariobangi to Jericho High School and back because my mother couldn't afford bus fare. I know what it means to have just enough for today, not knowing what tomorrow will bring. And so it's so sad that people can even say something like that, because Pastor Kathy has been very, very involved in blessing the poor, encouraging the poor.
Yes.
She has actually taken on herself to feed families in Kawangware and to minister to some ladies there. And so those are they were very unfortunate remarks, but we've moved on. We won't allow them to detour us because it's just gossip.
It's just gossip.
Yeah.
And then there was this Canary expose that ran here on KTN.
Yeah.
And after that, of course, then the social media, again, a lot of comments and attacks towards men and women of God. You are one of those that the comments were directed to. And then there's a post that you came on your Twitter account.
Yes.
I think we have it.
Yeah.
Let's put it up. There's this one.
All right.
Yeah. But this was actually the second version. There's a first one that...
No, that's the first version.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
that's the first version. Yes, you're right. Then this is the second version. Yes. So what was it that was happening here? Talk to us about this one. Because this one came up shortly after the first one, which is that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think what happened was that, Sophie, it doesn't matter what happens. We are all human. And sometimes when you're attacked so unfairly, there's always that reaction and, feeling like disappointment. So this time was the time when all that was going on. And I was being put in the same whatever with the gentleman you talked about, and yet that is not who I am, and so I posted that just to say, look, haters you may hate, but I am going on with my life, and that is what we decided with Pastor Kathy. It doesn't matter what people say, we have to live our lives, because only God knows our hearts, and it's only Him who we will stand before one day and give an account. He's the one who will be he's a righteous judge. People can make judgments, but God is a righteous judge, because people talk about you even without knowing you, and that's what they have done. There's been a lot of conversation and a lot of things that have been said about us by people who don't even have an idea of who we are. And unfortunately, people don't even take time to even look at our show, so that on KTN in the morning, so they can really get to see what kind of people we are and listen to our message. But I thank God, because somebody told me the other day that this person had been told such evil things about us, so he decided to watch us Sunday morning, just to confirm about these evil human beings, bad people. And he was so blessed. He called the friend and said, these people blessed me. I was so blessed on Sunday morning as I was watching them. They are not what people say they are. And so I thank God, because God the righteous judge, and people who are objective, who can really look at it objectively without having any preconceived ideas and perceptions, can see that we really are out there to be a blessing to our nation.
However, when you change the post, I think that is what then got some people thinking, okay, then why does he need to change the post and
actually
have
what happened was
softer one? Is it because
I was to be honest, I was just upset, and then I thought about it. I said, I don't need to be. It's okay. It's all cool.
Which is
good.
human.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do you do that? Because as a man of God, human beings will expect you to be perfect, to expect a certain standard from you, and it just comes, I guess, to the territory for you. So how do you...
By the way, Sophia, I'm not perfect. I am not perfect. I am so imperfect. Pastor Kathy is not perfect. We are not perfect. And in fact, we don't even want to make ourselves look perfect. And that's what, like you're saying about that post. Because I really was upset like a human being, and I felt, I need to do something. And then after that, I pulled it down and put something else when I got back to my senses. But I want to say again, I am not perfect. I have made a lot of mistakes. I have done things that I regret. I've done things that I shouldn't have done. But that's also where the grace of God kicks in, where God is able to use my imperfect ways and my imperfections and pour out His perfect grace and use me to bless somebody. I am so imperfect, and that's why every morning I wake up, I go on my knees before God and I tell Him, God, please, I beg you, use me in my imperfection. Let me just be a blessing to somebody. Don't use me because I'm good. Use me because of what Christ did at Calvary. And I always look to that. I always look to the grace of God. And the grace of God has abounded. And so when people look at us, even if I have made mistakes, even if Pastor Kathy has made mistakes, please don't judge us on that. Look at us also and know that there are few people that we are impacting, and their lives that we are changing. And that is what is more important.
People look and just see the beautiful church, the great choir, the singing, and all these other stories that people go about. But you're involved in other ministries as well. You're in terms of helping out the poor.
Absolutely, we do that. In fact, right now as I'm speaking, Pastor Kathy and the Daughters of Zion, have bought land to one of the poor widows in Kawangware, and they're in the process of building a house. We have a ministry called Hands of Compassion that takes care of the widows, takes care of the orphans. Over Christmas, we did 3 projects. We went out and fed and took care of some old people in an old people's home. Went to a children's church, and then children's home, and then after that also we went and built a dormitory, and for in a children's home. And so we are very involved in helping the needy, ministering to those who are weak. We counsel with people every day. We are very, very strong in terms of helping people navigate through marital issues, and just minister to them and encourage them, because ministry is not just about what you say on pulpit on Sunday. It's what you do during the week, and that is touching the clothing the naked and taking care of those who are infirmed. I myself, even from my own personal account, I paid school fees for hundreds of children. One of our guys who's in church right now is called Paul Erot. Walked all the way from Turukana, came in a bus, he hid himself, coming to Nairobi to look for a better life. Came all the way. His mother was actually featured one day in a newspaper. A very moving story of a woman who was about to die, that shocked the nation. If you remember, there was a famine and shocked the nation. That was the mother. And Paul Erot came to the city and then landed in our church. He didn't know how he landed, and he just came and said, "I've come to Nairobi to look for a better life. Can this church take me in?" And today, Paul Erot, we've taken him through university. He's doing his master's. Degree. In fact, he's supposed to travel to Israel. He got a beautiful scholarship. He's one of the top students at the University of Nairobi. And this is just a testimony of one person that we didn't even know. Came all the way from Turkana, and right now he's part of what you're doing in Jubilee Christian Church. What you're doing, and that some of the work that you're doing there. And we have a few minutes to go. We can open the phone lines. You can ask a question to Bishop, if any that you want, or even a message you want to share. He's been encouraging you. You want to tell him that. Go ahead and do that. Now, back to you being a human being, and sometimes I've sat and imagined a situation where you're very public in terms even of your affection with Reverend. You guys will call each other baby. Are there times you guys fight, and then now you're in church? You've come Sunday morning. How do you go about that? Because you're human. It will happen here or there. Absolutely. Amazingly is that Pastor Kathy and I, we have had, of course now we've been married for 20 years plus. It's gotten easier. But one thing, we have some rules of engagement. We have some rules of engagement. If you're going to have a fight, we have already decided how a fight should be handled. And I want to encourage couples that don't have conflict without rules of engagement. And one of the rules of engagement is, first of all, we don't shout at each other. Not because we can't do it, but it's because we have decided that if we're going to talk softly to each other. Number 2, we don't allow our fights to prolong. We finish them quickly. Thirdly, very important, if somebody says sorry, they must be forgiven.
No matter what.
If you say sorry, what else can you do? Because you've already apologized. I must be willing to receive your apology and not prolong the fight, because by apologizing, you have done your best. And therefore, we need to move on. So we have those rules, and so they have helped us navigate through issues. But also, I am not the kind of a person who can preach if I have issues with my wife, and she knows it. So I've told her, if we have issues, please let's resolve them before I go on the pulpit. Because if you do, by the way, you know what I'll do? I will bring them out. Something will slip out.
Have you ever done that? I can imagine.
I'm so upset with this woman. She just... I'm that kind of a person. I have to sort it out. I can't just pretend it doesn't exist. I'm just like that. So what she'll do is that quickly, before we get there, she comes to Max and says, "Sweetie, can you please forgive me? Can we sort it out?" And she has said so many times, sorry so many times, even when she was not wrong. Because she's wise. She's a wise woman. She understands that, look, if both of us are fighting, we are both losing. There's no winner. By the way, there's no winner and losers in marriage. You both win or you both lose. Now, it's not about one winning and the other one losing. If you are losing, both of you are losing. If you are winning, both of you are winning. And so she comes and we sort it out, and then I go and preach. So that is something that she does to me, because if I go there with that in my heart, it will slip out. I'm that kind of a person. I'm not able to pretend and to fake like everything is okay. I'll just say something.
And also, you're both hip, you're young, you know, get along so well. I imagine for you, there are ladies who are there even in church, they're like, Lord, I wish it was me now. Or who will find a way, come and say, Pastor, I have issues. And say, I think I'm in love. Unfortunately, it's with you. You know, on the other hand, you have, you know, Reverend is a beautiful woman. She dresses very well. She'll have, of course, people saying, gosh, if that was me. How do you protect your marriage from all these people who want to come in and have a little bit of Kiuna Allan, have a little bit of Kathy Kiuna?
First of all, the most important thing is boundaries. You must have your boundaries. You must set boundaries in terms of how you relate with people of the opposite sex. It's important to have boundaries. Number 2 is openness. You know, just be open to your wife and let her know. So
if someone hits on you, you come and
you
tell
have
her?
to tell her, I have to. I have to tell her because it's important, because it's a difficult situation. You know, secrets are what breeds a lot of things that are not good. It's not good to have secrets. So I'll just go to her and say, you know, by the way, this person, I'd like you to be counseling them. I'd like you to be the one talking to them and so forth. Because, you know, I have a great destiny. And so I have to make sure that by the grace of God, I get to that place of my destiny. I
like that you talk about it, because for many people, you know, marriages now, Bishop, I'm sure you're aware, even just from counseling people, it appears to be an institution, maybe under threat is a strong word to use, but there are many challenges therein. For some, cheating has become the common state. You know, every day saying you're cheating, I'm cheating, okay, fine, let's go along. Or abuse, or all manner of things that are happening. What's your word to those people with all this manner of challenges in terms of marriage? What do you say that would bring hope in as far as it's still an institution that can work and people should not give up on it?
By the way, I don't think there's anything as beautiful as a wonderful marriage. It's, in my opinion, is the most beautiful thing that God can ever give you, where when you're coming from your house, because after you've worked, after you've done everything, after everything else, you can go home to somebody who loves you, to somebody who cares about you, to somebody who will be there for you, and you can be able to have a good home together. What I'd like to encourage couples is to understand that good marriages are built. You work on a good marriage. It doesn't happen by mistake. Number 2, you have to have the desire and the passion for a good marriage. And for me, I decided, when I watched my father and mother, I made up my mind that I'm going to have a good marriage. It's a decision. It's a choice that you have to make. And then the two of you have to sit down and agree, like I said, rules of engagement. You have to agree, how do you want to live our lives? And from a very early time, from the time Pastor Kathy and I were dating, we spoke about several things. We spoke about violence. We spoke about abuse. And I told her, I'm coming from a very abusive home. I want you to help me. I want you to help me. I had issues of anger. And so I told her, honey, I need you to help me, because I don't want to allow this anger that is coming from my father to ever manifest in our home. So if you notice that I'm getting agitated, please, that's not the time for you to go higher. It's time for you to cool down. You know, just let me diffuse the situation. But afterwards, when I'm sober and my mind is okay, you can come and tell me what you did was wrong. You know, don't fuel the fire. And so I think, Sophie, what I can tell you about that is important for couples to do is to understand each other's game and how the other party dances. You know, when you're dancing together, there's a step, you step and the other person steps. You know, you have to be able to step with each other and know what it is. What does my husband love? What doesn't he like? And what doesn't he like? What does she like? What is our language of love? You have to be able to decipher each person's language of love. Maybe it's flowers, maybe not. My wife is not interested with flowers. I mean, even if I buy flowers for Valentine, no, she's not there. They're good, but you won't see her smelling the roses and
going like, oh,
no. Her language of love is spending time with her. She wants me to spend time with her. So over Valentine, she just says, look, can we go and play golf together? Or can we go out on a drive together? So you have to understand each other's language. And then also, you can't be selfish. It can't just be one way. It can't just be about me receiving. Marriage is about giving 100%. It's actually what you give that determines what kind of a marriage you have. If you give your all, by the grace of God, the other partner will reciprocate. And even if they don't, you've done your part.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll throw in some random questions now, and perhaps also look at some of the feedback. So we know that you play golf. You know you're the Bishop JCC. We know quite a lot about you. What don't we know about you? Anything, even funny, hilarious, lights. What don't you know about Bishop Kiuna?
My goodness, my life is an open book.
Favorite meal?
My favorite meal is lamb chops with ugali. Proper done by Pastor Kathy.
Hey.
Yeah,
not the hotel
not
one.
in a restaurant. Yeah, that's my favorite meal. I love to drive. I love motorbikes. In fact, I have a couple. Yeah, I love motorbikes. I am very introverted. Amazingly,
no.
Yes, I am. You won't believe that. Yeah, I'm very introverted because I'm in the public up there, and I'm laughing and I'm talking. People think I'm sanguine. I'm very melancholic. Very melancholic.
So when away from the cameras, away from the pulpit.
Do you know something, Sophia? I can get into my house on Sunday after service and leave there on Sunday morning to go and preach. Well, I don't get to do that, but I can. And I love moments when I'm alone. Those are the best moments. When, for example, I study and pray every Thursday, Friday. I don't leave my office in the house. And I'm just there, and I don't even go downstairs. I'm there for those days, and I'm fine.
And you're fine.
I'm so introverted. Another thing people may not know about me is that I'm very soft-hearted.
What is soft-hearted?
I'm very soft-hearted. I'm very emotional.
Okay.
I'm saying I'll see you on the blogs tomorrow. But I'm very soft-hearted. I'm very emotional. I have a very soft side of me, and so Pastor Kathy really tries to protect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you cry?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
When I'm praying, when I'm talking to God, that part of me is very tender towards God, especially.
Yeah.
In service sometimes, during worship, it's very, very soft. I have a tender heart towards God. I just love God, and so when I get there, I don't care who is there. I'll just get on with God. Okay. And so I understand when the DP was crying, I
get it.
I get it.
The Lord breaks even the deputy president.
I tell you, I was like, I'm not alone.
Yeah. All right, we have Mercy calling us. Mercy, good morning.
Good morning, guys. I'm just so happy. Guys, I'm a Catholic. I usually go for my first mass. Just come and just listen to Pastor Allan Kiuna. Guys, you just make my day. Just make my Saturday. Like, I'm doing my Catholic psychology in Kenyatta University. I'm just happy you guys are just Catholic people. We are living a sick world. We just need many people like you. I'm just happy, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. And you sound happy, so we're glad you're watching. And Bishop appreciates.
Yeah, I was feeling down, but now I'm just happy. His story just encouraged me, the way he's dealing with the boys.
Yeah.
I think people should learn a lot from Atlanta. Whatever they just do, the bullying, they should first know who are these people. Imagine helping someone to go to that level of master's level.
Yeah.
Not many can help. Not many can. When you share with someone who has problems, you're really helping like the whole nation. You are just helping our country. We really need
Thank you.
People. I'm just happy, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We also have, is it Simeon? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, this is Simon.
Oh, Simon, thanks for calling. Go ahead with your contribution.
Okay. This is Simon from Wisabo. I want to congratulate first for the Pastor Allan Kiuna. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm Allan Kiuna. Kathy is my wife. She's become more bigger than me.
Kiuna, I had a question.
Yes.
About young people you have challenges. Like how was your life when you were 20, 25? Did you have, because I'm a 20-year-old young man. So I want to know from a pastor's perspective how 20 years to 25 how a person should live, and I appreciate what you're doing. Continue with your wife.
All right.
Okay.
He was asking about my 20s and how I was in my 20s, 25 to 27 when I got married. But then I got married at 27 years old.
Wow.
And my 20s was years of struggle. They were really difficult years, and like many young people who are in their 20s, that's what they go through, struggling to get a job, struggling to get established in the job, struggling to finish maybe their education and so forth. So there were years of struggle, but there were also for me years of preparation. Preparation for my marriage, preparation for my ministry, preparation for what I was going through. I didn't waste my years of discouragement in pity party. I didn't waste my years of going through those challenges by feeling sorry for myself and trying to get sympathy from people. But instead, I was preparing myself for where I was going. So I want to tell every young person, right now in your 20s, when you're still alone, maybe you're still not engaged or in any relationship, prepare yourself for where you want to go. You have to know where it is that you're going to go, and nobody's going to take you there but yourself. So now start the journey. And in the book, I've written a book called Finishing Strong. And in that book, I tell people and encourage people on what they need to do to finish strong. Because you have to live life with an understanding that you don't have long to live, but the time you have to get ready for it. Even Jesus was prepared for 30 years for a 3-year ministry, 3.5 years ministry, 30 years of preparation for 3.5 years. Because it's your preparation that determines how effective you'll be in life. So I prepared for my marriage. I went out and studied books. I prepared to be a father, and I prepared to be a pastor. By the time I was getting married to Pastor Kathy, I was already ready to receive her as a wife. I was already a husband that was ready for my duties and ready to be a father. And when he got married to Pastor Kathy, we already had one daughter. Who came with her. She was a single mom, and I just fitted in the role of being a father right away because I was ready. Because you're ready. I like that you emphasize that preparation because it precedes presentation, and the younger generation, especially those 20-year-olds, as he was asking, many times it's all about that instant coffee kind of generation. You want everything now, today. So the fact that you're emphasizing on how important it is. I want you to think about what has been your most embarrassing situation as we take this call, so that you'll answer that one, as also we'll bring in Mike into the conversation. Good morning, Brown.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, I'll try to ask the bishop.
Yes.
First and foremost, I'd love to congratulate him, the Kathy there.
Sorry?
I'd like to congratulate them for the awesome work they are doing.
Okay.
Now I'm asking Bishop Kiuna, how has he overcome the allegations of that his church is not for poor people and it's only for rich people, it's not for disabled people? How has he proven to have that all those were false allegations? And what can you tell us that? How can you tell me? I want him to tell me now us on TV that the allegations were false.
All right, he's already addressed the same. Perhaps what he can touch on is just how difficult it was just going through that. But he had addressed that particular question earlier. Perhaps you missed it, but I'll give him about a minute to say something.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Brown. There were rumors. In fact, they were not even. I don't even know what to call them.
Yeah.
Because it was not even like Pastor Kathy was misquoted. She didn't say it.
Yeah.
So somebody just cooked it up. And so we have just just kind of chosen to move on, and not to allow it to make us, get beat down. I know that Pastor Kathy was very affected because, it was a contradiction to everything she stands for and everything she believes.
Yeah.
And so it was very, very challenging for her. But we have decided just to move on and to forget it and to forgive and to just carry on with our ministry. In fact, yesterday Pastor Kathy was telling me that there's another story that has come up.
Oh no.
That I'm running for Senate and she's running for women's rep.
Oh gosh.
Which is also false.
Yeah.
I think when you're in the public eye, you're fair game.
You're free for all.
Yeah, you're fair game. You're just free for all. Anyone can say anything about you. And that is something that we are having trouble dealing with, because we've always seen ourselves as just pastors, not as these celebrities, because we are not. We're just pastors. So the venom and the hatred and that is coming to us as a surprise, because we feel like the lady who called earlier said, we are really helping our nation, our generation and our nation. And even when I spoke to the MD of KTN when we were going on air, I told him, look, JCC can make a contribution to our generation by preaching the word of God, because the thing that will make a gangster put his gun down may not be being arrested by a policeman, but being changed in his heart. If we can change that gangster's heart and he decides from within to change, we have
sorted out a problem that the government may not be able to know how to handle by building more prisons.
Wow.
So I said, our desire is to come on here so that when we preach the word and somebody hears the word and accepts to change their lives, we have made a contribution to moving the nation forward.
Okay.
And so that has been the way we've done it. And so we've just started to move on.
Yeah. So you're not vying for any political...
No, I'm not, and I will not.
And
by the way, I will not. I like, maybe you're asking him, Michael.
Yes, to join the conversation. I'd ask you though about what embarrassing moment.
He wasn't very clear. Eh? He said, I will let my wife... it wasn't, but for me, it's very clear. I know my assignment. I know what I'm called to do, and I'm going to do it until... Yeah.
So I've had an embarrassing moment, Michael. I'm not shared this with you, where we were once, I was in some choir, don't worry, at some point in my life, and there was this seat, and everyone else was standing, so I was so tired I decided to sit.
Yes.
It was one leg was missing. And, it was very embarrassing, because this guy I liked who was there. I was like, oh my God. So have you had an embarrassing moment? You must have.
Yeah, I've had many embarrassing moments, but
the one that you were like,
can I remember? Yeah, I remember. Yes. This is very private, but very personal. But I'll share it because you have asked me. We were preaching in Tintin, and I had only 2 trousers, and they were really, because I had to keep exchanging them.
Yes.
So one day I came to service, and I used to, I move a lot when I'm preaching.
Yes.
And that time I was younger, so I used to move a little bit
more energy.
So I jumped, and my trouser tore.
Oh, oh my God.
And I had a friend of mine who was in the service. He's actually a pastor now. He's called Pastor Nemo Rakino. And he was in the service. I grabbed him, and I told him, we are going to the bathroom right now. And so we went to the bathroom, and we changed trousers.
Yeah,
because now I was preaching, and I had to continue. So I told Pastor, you just lead the worship, I'm coming. So we went out, I made it look like it's very, very spiritual. We changed, I just have to, Pastor Nick, I just have to do something. I changed my trousers. Then when I got back, I told Pastor Nick, by the way, Pastor Nick has a word to tell us, he had the torn trousers. Here's a word, please come. And was sitting there, Pastor Allan, what are you doing? He's Nigerian.
Oh my God.
Pastor Allan, what are you doing? Oh, now what are you doing to me? I said, no, you have something to say. Please come and share with us, because I knew he had the torn trousers. So that was very embarrassing, but it ended up on a light note. We have laughed about it for a long time. That was back in the Tintin days.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
So from that day, I make sure that I'm sorry.
Yes, that you're sorry.
And I think one of the things that I find with you, Pastor Kiuna, from this interview is that you enjoy even those difficult moments. You find a funny side of it, because that's one thing that could make you crash, in front of everybody. As you're preaching, your mind could shut down.
I know.
You literally don't know what to do, and you dysfunction. But when you find the funny side of it, then you're able to do that. And Sophia does a lot of that, especially when I shrub on air. But yeah, it's one of those things. And there are quite a number of SMSs coming here. By the way, you've encouraged so many, but somebody would like to know who mentors pastors.
Personally, I was mentored by Reverend Tracy Oerimo, and she's been my mentor from that time. I mean, I've never changed my leadership covering. She's been my leader, and I think what I can say is, as a pastor, you have to look for somebody who has done more and has moved to a higher height than you, and submit yourself to them for accountability, for mentorship, and for somebody that is speaking over your life. And for me, even being a bishop, I have chosen to stay accountable, because I need it. I need to be accountable. I need somebody who can be able to come in and say, stop that. Don't do that. If I have a challenge, I can go to and tell them, look, I'm going through this and that. There are things I won't share with her, because they're not necessary. Those are just part of life, and I just have to take them as they come. But many times when I have issues that I need wisdom, decisions that I have to make that are very important, I always consult with her. And that helps me, because she has gone ahead of me. She's been in ministry more than me. She has done greater things than I will ever do. So she helps me be able to navigate through that. So to answer your question, pastors need other pastors who are probably who have probably done more to be able to work with them and help them make good, important decisions.
Okay. Another quick one here is, of course, now you being in the limelight and being a public figure, somebody says, I respect, but ask him to comment on a photo on the internet of him and his daughter in a bikini, which might be offending to some.
Why? I don't understand why somebody would be offended when my daughter is wearing a bikini. I wasn't wearing a bikini, I was wearing a t-shirt. But you know, she's my daughter and she has her own life. She's 19 years old. Yeah. She has to be who she is. I know, like some of the photos you put out there, you know, she probably, you know, she's just a teenager.
Right.
I remember somebody criticizing Malia and Sasha Obama because of being teenagers. Right. You know, teenagers are just teenagers.
And they're not the president.
Yeah.
They're not the pastor.
They're not the president. They're not the pastor. So Stephanie has her own life and she has to do her own things. I just have to let her be. And that is so important for them. And one thing that has done, because of us giving us that room, they have really appreciated us. And now they love God for themselves, not to impress us. And that's why many times, if you're not careful as a pastor, and I want to talk to pastors there with children, if you try to make your children pastors, you will lose them in future.
Yeah.
Because they haven't gone through the stages that they need to go through. They need to go through those stages. They need to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Let them make mistakes. Let them do whatever they... Then when they make their choices to love God, it will be sincere. And they will have seen those things that we did were of no value. They're useless things. But we try to be so protective and it doesn't help.
Thank you, Bishop Allan Kiuna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so
It's been
much.
a pleasure having you, and definitely enlightened many of us. And thank you. I'm also encouraged.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And that's why we even choose not to have your health, because this is part of health.
Health. Spiritual health.
Spiritual health
right
so
there.
Much.
With
Bishop, person of interest. Thank you so much.
Thank
Our
you.
love and greetings to your beautiful wife.
Yes, thank you.
And also the rest of the family.
Yeah, thank you.